Do you have a current meditative practice?
I have a couple. Like most people, I talk about doing it, but don't really do it all that well. I think meditation is like dieting or where everyone is supposed to be following a regimen. Everyone says they do it, but nobody actually does it. The real set of people who meditate on a regular basis, I found are pretty rare. And I've identified and tried at least four different forms of meditation. The one that I found that works the best for me is something called choiceless awareness or non-judgmental awareness, where you essentially don't sit in the corner and don't stay quiet. You walk around, you're going about your daily business, but hopefully there's some nature around, you're not talking to somebody else. And what you practice is you just learn to accept that moment that you're in without making judgments. You don't say, oh, there's a homeless guy over there, I better cross the street. You don't look at two people running by and say, oh, he's out of shape, or I'm in better shape than him, or that person's better than me, or this one's better, or I should go get a coffee or whatever. You just don't make any decisions. You don't judge anything. You just accept everything. If you do that, I find if I can do that even for 10 or 15 minutes walking around, I end up in a very peaceful, grateful state. And so that one works well for me.
When those thoughts come up, right? When you see the guy with the bad hairdo and you're like, that guy has no business having that unmanageable hairdo or whatever ridiculous thought comes to
Right.
mind, what is the internal response to that?
What I do is, for those of you who programmed, I'm basically trying to run my brain in debugger mode. I'm trying to be very, very alert and watch my thoughts. You're not trying to judge anything, including your own thoughts. There's a great definition that I read that says enlightenment is a space between your thoughts, which means that enlightenment isn't this thing you achieve after 30 years sitting in a corner on a mountaintop. It's something you can achieve moment to moment, and you can be certain percentage enlightened every single day. So you want to create as much space between your thoughts as possible. And the way you do that is by being aware of what your thoughts are and why you're having them. So if I saw the guy with the bad hairdo or a toupee, I would look at that and at first I'd be like, haha, he has a bad hairdo. And then I'd say, well, why am I laughing at him? Oh, to make me feel better about myself. And why am I trying to make me feel better about my own hairdo? Oh, because I'm losing my hair and I'm afraid it's going to go away. And what I find is that 90% of thoughts that I have are fear. 90% are fear based. The other 10% are probably desire based. And as any
It's a very tactful way to put it.
yeah, and as any Buddhist will tell you, that desire is just fear by another name. It's the other coin, the other side of the coin of fear.
I thought you were talking about something else entirely.
No, lust.
There's this,
Lust?
yeah, there's this cartoon. I don't know if you know who Harry Crumb is. He has all of these very sort of profane comic strips and was very famous. And there's a great documentary about him as well. Wait, Harry Crumb, I think that's actually a comedy, but
Mhm.
R Crumb, maybe I'm mixing it up. In any case, somebody can correct me in the comments, but there's this one cartoon of his. I think it's a single cell, kind of like the Far Side in its
Yep.
format. It's basically a drawing of people on the street in Manhattan, and every man has a thought bubble above his head with a vagina in it, and every woman has a thought bubble above her head with a penis in it, and just everybody walking.
That's why the Adam and Eve story is there, right? Original sin is lust. It's a thing that makes you fall out of heaven. The same way, maybe some of your readers have read this book called Siddhartha, but it's a beautiful parallel story to The Making of the Buddha by Hermann Hesse. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. But even in that book, our protagonist is out there seeking enlightenment and gets really close. And the thing that drops him out of it is lust. He meets a woman that he feels lustful towards, and that sort of slowly becomes his undoing into everything. But anyway, so to answer your original question, when I'm doing the choiceless awareness form of meditation, which by the way isn't, as far as I can tell, is not taught in any school. It's something that I discovered mostly by reading enough of Krishnamurti's book and piecing together what he meant, because he's not a very clear speaker at times, or he is clear, but in a very different kind of way. And then I realized that, okay, so the point of meditation is to clear your mind. And the way to clear your mind is, yes, you can sit in the corner and struggle with it, which doesn't really get you the outcome. Or you can do transcendental meditation, which is where you're using this chanting to create a white noise in your head to bury your thoughts. Or you can just very keenly and very alertly be aware of your thoughts as they happen. And as you watch them, you realize how many of them are just fear-based. And the moment you recognize it as fear, without even trying, it sort of goes away. And then after a while, your mind quietens. And when your mind quietens, you stop taking everything around you for granted. You start noticing the details of, oh my God, I live in such a beautiful place. It's so great that I have clothes on me. Yeah, I can go into a Starbucks and get a coffee anytime I want. How rich am I? Look at these people. They're, each one has a perfectly valid and complete life of their own in their own heads that's going on. It pops us out of the story, the dream that we're always in, the story that we're constantly telling ourselves. And if you stop talking to yourself for even 10 minutes, or if you stop obsessing over your own story for even 10 minutes, you'll realize that we are really far up Maslow's hierarchy of needs and that life is pretty good.